Today, we're taking a close look at some pretty, well, attention-grabbing claims going around about the Pi network.
Yeah, specifically stuff stemming from activity seen recently on its testnet.
Right. And for this deep dive, we're working from just one source. It's a YouTube video, and it's analyzing an article by someone called Demis Novi.
That's the one. So our goal here is pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We're here to unpack the specific claims Demis Novi makes, but only as they're presented in this source material we looked at.
Focusing just on the data and the interpretations discussed in that video and article.
Right, to understand what this particular source is suggesting is happening and, what it might mean for Pi's future, according to them.
Exactly. We're sticking strictly to the narrative, the points put forward in this source. So let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into the main claim here, the core of it, presented in this source. And it's a big one.
It is. The idea is that the Pi network is apparently getting ready for integration with Elon Musk's companies.
Yeah, his ventures, we're talking Tesla, X, Dogecoin, and even something the source just calls Club.
That's quite a connection to make. And the source really highlights what Demis Novi supposedly offers as proof.
Which is?
Specific data. Data he claims to have found on the Pi network's blockchain explorer, but crucially, this is on the testnet.
The testnet, okay. And Novi's big line quoted in the source is pretty bold. Data will not lie.
So he's presenting this testnet activity as, undeniable proof for his claim.
So what exactly did this data show? The source mentions an image, right?
Yeah, the video shows an image from the Pi Explorer looking at a specific wallet address on the testnet.
And what's visible there?
Well, right there in the image, you see listed balances for Doge. It specifically shows 999,640 pieces.
Wow. Okay.
And also for X, showing exactly 1,000 pieces. There are also mentions of a Pi balance and a balance limit, too.
Seeing tokens actually labeled Doge and X listed on the Pi testnet.
Right.
That's definitely what makes this claim jump out, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the presenter in the source video apparently went and tried to verify this.
Oh, they did? How?
They show themselves using the official Pi browser app, going to the Pi blockchain explorer, and importantly, making sure they selected the testnet view.
Okay, so they double-checked it was the testnet.
Right, and they checked one of the wallet addresses Novi supposedly provided, and they confirmed that, yeah, on the testnet explorer for that specific address, these balances labeled Doge and X were visible, just like Novi claimed, according to the source.
Interesting. Did they mention anything else, like transactions?
Yeah, they also noted the kinds of transactions seen on this testnet explorer, again, based on the source. Things like payments, offers, and just general transactions.
Are these recent?
The source mentions timestamps, suggesting this isn't brand new activity. Things like 4 weeks ago, even 6 months ago were mentioned.
Okay, so let's recap the data part. According to the source, the raw data on the testnet shows specific wallet balances labeled Doge and X, plus various transaction types over time.
Correct.
But, and this is the big leap, right? How does Novi, based on what the source shows us, connect this testnet stuff to Elon Musk and his companies?
Well, yeah, this is where the interpretation really kicks in. Novi, as the source presents it, sees these specific tokens, Doge, X, plus those transaction types like payments and offers on the testnet. And he interprets that as the definitive data that won't lie. That's his foundation.
So in his view, according to the source, this isn't just like random testing or noise.
Apparently not. He sees it as a clear signal, an indicator of future integration with Musk's companies. For him, seeing Doge and X on the testnet means Musk must be involved somehow preparing things.
Right, and that interpretation then leads to his call to action.
Exactly. The source highlights his resulting instruction or prediction, pay with Pi.
Pay with Pi? Implying a future where you could actually use Picoin for payments within Tesla or X or these other ventures.
That seems to be the implication presented in the source, yes.
And there was another quote, too, something about timing.
Yeah. The source quotes him saying, everything has been prepared for a long time, just waiting for the right time.
So connecting this current testnet activity to some kind of long-term plan that's almost ready to launch.
That's the narrative being built in the source, definitely. Linking Doge, X, Tesla, Club, specifically to Elon Musk is absolutely central to it all.
And the source itself adds a bit more context, right?
Yeah.
Things about Musk's status.
Yeah, the source material mentions things like Musk being the richest man, that he follows crypto. It even brings up his connection to Donald Trump.
Okay, and we need to be clear. We're just reporting what's in the source material regarding that connection. No commentary from us.
Absolutely not. The source seems to offer these points as sort of supporting details for why this Pi integration could be significant in their view.
Makes sense. So, moving towards the end of the source material, what were Novi's final thoughts as presented?
Well, the source includes his concluding remarks. He specifically mentions inevitable GCV.
GCV, that's the global consensus value idea in the Pi community, right?
Yeah.
Aiming for a high value for Pi.
Exactly. And he talks about reaching the secret of consensus, kind of tying it all together.
And the source video itself, how did it wrap things up?
It basically connected supporting a high value for Pi back to this whole narrative, this idea of inevitable value and these supposed preparations indicated by the testnet data.
Okay. And just to hammer it home one last time, this deep dive has focused only on the claims and the evidence presented in the single source we were given.
Absolutely. We've analyzed what this source says Dimas Novi claimed and how the source itself interprets the data presented. Nothing more, nothing less.
Right. So just to quickly recap the story from this specific source, Dimas Novi claims potential Pi integration with Musk's companies.
Based on seeing balances for Doge and X plus certain transaction types, specifically on the Pi testnet explorer.
Which leads him, according to the source, to call for people to pay with Pi, tying it into these ideas of an inevitable high global consensus value.
Yeah, it's a very specific interpretation of testnet activity being framed as solid proof of major future developments.
So it leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? Considering Novi's claim, as reported, that data will not lie and that everything is just waiting for the right time. And keeping in mind that clear distinction between a testnet and a live mainnet. How do you, listening to this, interpret activity on a testnet?
Especially when specific, well-known tokens like Doge and X seem to appear in that testing environment.
Yeah. What weight do you give that kind of testnet data when thinking about real-world potential? Definitely something to mull over.